Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. This lecture is on subqueries, SQL subqueries. What is a subquery? A subquery is a query inside of another query. What is query itself? What is a query? A query is a question that you ask your database. So when you actually order your database to display something from your tables like this, select all from employee. So you are ordering, you are asking question. You're asking your database a question to display all records from the database. Select all from M, which will look like this. A 14 table from the employee table. Okay, what is a subquery? A subquery is a query inside of another query, like a select statement inside of another select statement. Like this example here, I have this select statement inside between parentheses, as you could see here, between these two parentheses. I use it in the while clause. So, for example, the question here says, let me just type the question here. Display all employees working the same job as Alan. Okay, this is what I need. I need to display all employees doing the same job as Alan. Yani if Alan is accountant, I need all those employees who are doing the same job as accountant. If Alan is a manager, I need all managers. They're doing the same job as Alan. So if he is a manager, then I need all managers. If he is a researcher, I need all researchers. If he is a salesman, I need all salesmen. So how do you know the job of Alan? So that you can display all employees doing the same job as Alan. There is two ways, of course. The long way is to display all information and look for Alan. Where is Alan? Here is Alan. Where is job? Here is job. So what Alan does, he is a salesman. So I can say, okay, display all from AMP via display all from AMP via job equal salesman. So here, if you put this one, it will give you all those doing the same job as Alan. So Ward, Martin, and Turner, they're doing the same job as Alan, which is they're doing this job, salesmen. They're all salesmen. But you cannot go this way. You cannot display the table first to know the job of Alan. For one reason. Sometimes the database is very big. I have only 14 records here. But what if you have like thousands of records and different names, different people, different jobs? So you have to go there and try to find your employee and look for that job. It's going to be time consuming and tedious process. For this reason, we use what is called a subquery. You have a nested query or nested select statement. The inner select statement is to know what job Alan is doing. This one will give you what Alan is doing. And then use this one to be the input for the outer query, which is this one. Select all from AMP where job equal what? Equal what? Equal the output of this highlighted query. The output of this highlighted query is whatever it is. It is a salesman, of course, as we know from this table. So if we have done this separately, like this, select job from M where A and M equal Alan, it will give me this is a salesman. So instead of doing two different statements, we use only one select statement, which is this one here. Select all from M where job equal. Select job from M where A and M equal Alan. So by doing this one, what you are doing here, you are using the inner query output. The inner query output. This is the inner query output. This is the inner query output. The output of this query, which is salesman. So as if you are saying, select all from AMP where job equals salesman. Why? Because the output of this one is salesman. So this one will give you the salesman. But the whole query executed will give you all information for all employees where job equal salesman, because salesman is the output of this query. So this is the purpose of using a subquery. Using a subquery, if you would like to use the inner query's output as an input for an outer query. So this is the job salesman displayed by the inner query, and select all from AMP will give you all information for employees who are working as salesmen. There is another example. Here, this example, let me execute this example. This example is from the course table, and look at the select statement. Select course number, description, and cost. From course, where cost equal what? Select minimum cost from course. So the question here simply is display courses that cost the lowest cost. You don't know what is the lowest cost. I mean, just looking at the table by itself, you cannot just know the lowest cost. But you can do a select statement like this: select minimum cost from course. If you say select minimum cost from course, this will give you the minimum cost, and you use this output of this inner statement as an output for the outer query, which is this select statement. So let me do these statements into different operations to show you what is the minimum cost. This one shows you the minimum cost. Select min cost from from course. So this is the minimum cost. Minimum cost is $10.95. So they would like to know the courses, course description, course number, and cost from course, such that the cost is the minimum, is the lowest. That's why you need to use this inner statement to get the minimum cost from course table. Executing the whole statement will give you this. So these three courses cost the minimum cost, which is $10.95. Of course, if you know the minimum cost just from your table, you would do this $10.95, and then there is no need for that subquery, so it will give you. But you don't know the minimum cost is $10.95. So what do? You use that inner select statement. Select minimum cost from course. So this one will give you the $10.95. The $10.95 is used here for the equal sign. So this will give you the same output as explained earlier. So now you know the purpose of the nested query, nested select statement, or subquery, which is a query inside another query. And as you could see that you have the inner select statement giving me $10.95. So this is the same as saying this: select course number, description, cost from course, where cost equal $10.95. Had you known that the cost is $10.95, you just use it. But you don't know what is the minimum cost, so you ask your database a question here to display the minimum cost from the table, and use that as an input for this outer query. So this is the outer query here. Also, we can use in operator. And what is the difference between in and equal? So in the previous example, if you use in, for example, instead of equal, it will work the same way. However, there is a difference between in and equal sign. Let me here explain the difference between in and equal sign. This int, in operator will not generate an error if you have multiple records on the subquery. يعني in this one, for example, I have multiple records. It doesn't get an error. Sometimes if you have يعني in, it will allow to have more than one value in the result retained by the subquery. If you look at this statement, for example, and try to answer the question of get me all employees, employee number, employee name, and salary for those employee who are working in department number 10. يعني give me the employees who are having the same salary as those who are working in department number 10. Let me see why this breaks. It breaks. It says single row subquery retain more than one record. And if this one retain more than one record, then you cannot use equal sign. You have to use in statement. Let me execute this by itself and show you what this gives me. This one gives me more than one record from that table, from that department table. So in this case, you cannot use here equal. You can use in statement, and then statement give you those guys that they are having the same salary as those who are working in department number 10. So the in operator can be used in both situations, when you have multiple records, or only when you have one record retained by the subquery. But for the equal sign here, for example, for this, let me just execute this statement one more time. This statement here, I can use in, and I can use in or equal sign. This one, let me close the parenthesis here and then execute it one more time. So this one, since it generates actually this one generate only one single record. Look, which is 1095. In this case, I can use equal, or I can use what? I can use in, like that. So if the subquery simply, let me just make it easier and clear for you. If the subquery, this one, retains one single value, then you can use in or equal. But if this one, the inner query, retains more than one, you cannot use equal. You use in. يعني in work with both one record or many record for the subquery, while equal works only in case you have a single output from that subquery. I think I have another example. Let me go to the previous, the first one, this one, for example. Okay, this one, let me go to the previous statement that I have done before, which is this one. Now I have a question for you guys. How many records retained by this select statement? Select job from M where E name equal Alan, and you give me the job where Alan is doing. Of course, it will give me one single output, which is salesman. Look, salesman. يعني يعني job is not working as a salesman, an accountant, and a manager, and something like that. It's just working as a salesman. So the output of this statement is just 1. So in this case, I can use what? I can use in or what? Or equal. While if I have more than one record retained by the inner query, by this one, like the example I showed you about the department, which is this one, because this one retains more than one record. This one retains 3 records. Look, 3, 1, 2, 3. So in this case, the subquery that I'm going to use here using equal is not going to work. Why? Because the inner query retains more than one single record. In this case, it will give me this error. Single row subquery retain more than one row. In this case, you have to replace the operator equal with this operator in, like that. Also, I can use not in operator, which retain the others. Yani those who are not having the same job as in department number 10. So there are 3 people in department number 10, but there are 11 people in other departments, which is number 20 and 30 in this table. All right, and not in operator, as you could see, retain this 11 rows. This example here. Select first name, last name, registration date from student table via registration date. Select equal select minimum registration date. This question simply is display those who are registered in the minimum registration date. Minimum registration date. If you'd like to compare between minimum and maximum regarding the date, like select minimum date from a student. Look at the date here from a student. So minimum registration date 22 January 99. Okay, and then max. What is the maximum registration date? That is the first one. Minimum is January, and this one is February, right? So minimum is the previous, is the earliest, is the first date. Yani minimum is the first date, registration date. Maximum is the highest registration date. All these guys registered between 22 January and 23 of February. They have this 1 month to register. So the minimum registration date in the previous example retains 22 January 99, while maximum registration date retains 23 of February. Okay, good. So now we know the difference between minimum and maximum. So the question is display those who register first. But this is a question. Display those who register first. Yani those students who register first. To be able to know who are registered first, I have to look for the minimum registration date from a student, which is this one, 22 January. If I know that 22nd of January 99 is the minimum registration date, I would just put it here instead of all this. I just go and say, okay, let me put 22 of January 99 and get done with it. I don't need any subquery for that. I can just get those guys, all of them registered on 22nd of January, as you could see, those 8 students. Okay, good. But because you don't know this date, you have to select it by using minimum, right? Okay, you have to use minimum. And you have to use minimum registration date from a student. This is a subquery inside the outer query. So again, I would say that the output of this query was a subquery is used as an output for the first query, this one, which of course they will give you the same result. Yani instead of doing this in two different statements, first do this like that. First do this statement by itself, and then okay, and you will get 22nd of January, and then later you would use another query and say, okay, let me just put this one 22nd of January, and then execute this query. This is doing two statements in one, right? But you are not doing that. Instead, you are doing one query, but this query is called a subquery, which is this one, subquery. I hope that you understand this concept of a subquery, which is a query inside of another query. The output of the inner query is used as an output for this outer query. So this is for this example. Let us just go to employee table and execute another select statement, another query, and then explain it for you and see what do we mean by this statement. Okay, let me just select department number. Let me just select this one. Select summation, the total sum from employee. So this is a total salary from the employee table. Okay, this is the total salary from employee. Yani the total salary from employee department table is 20,025. What if I would like to know the total per department? And I have some people working in department number 10, some people working in department number 20, and some people working in department number 30. Instead of knowing the total salary for all employees working in all departments, I would like to do it or to know it by department. But if you include department to know which department and the total salary, this requires a group by. You have to group by department. So this is not a single group function. You have to use group by department number, and this one will give you the total salary per department. Yani those who are working in department number 20, their total salary is this. Those who are working in department number 10, their total salary is this. Those who are working in department number 30, their total salary is this. Now, can I use a wire clause for group by clauses? Yes, but not wire. We use having. And if you use wire total salary, for example, is greater than 9,000. I would like to get a total salary. I need only department whose total salary is more than 9,000. There are two departments there, the total salary is more than 9,000, which is this department number 30 and this department number 20. So I need this. But does it work? Look at it. It says it complains about this. Where I cannot use where after group by. After group by, you have to use having. Yani having is like where for group by. If you use having, this will display those two departments that their total salary is more than 9,000. So instead of using yani where clause, you use having. So having works for group by like where for single records. Also having works with this aggregate function, like having average salary or count or max or min and all this aggregate function. Like this example, for example, they asking for the for those who are having their total salary more than the average salary. يعني having sub total salary more than the average salary. How do I know the average salary? I have to use a subquery for that. Okay, so select department number, total salary, which is SUMSAL, from employee, group by department number. This one, of course, will give me the 3 departments, as you could see here in this example, and their total salary. But this statement in the having clause, it shows only those whose total salary is more than the average salary from the department, which is, in this case, is the same statement, because this is how the output is giving me, and this one might not give you any data, no data found. But the statement simply here shows that you can use a subquery for aggregate function as well, because this average salary from the employee is 20 something, 20,073, and all salaries that I have seen earlier is more than the average salary. Okay, so this is why I get the 3 records the same as they have displayed earlier, which is all total salary for departments have been displayed. Okay, now there is another question here. This question is to display course number and capacity for the course, yani how many students can be registered in the course, total number of students registered in the course from section in the section table. So course number, I need the course number and the capacity, which is the capacity for the section, group by course number. So if you look at this one, so it will give you the course number and the total number of students that can be registered for these courses. Okay, but here they said we need the total capacity to be less than the average capacity. And if you need the total capacity to be less than the average capacity, here you need to use this select statement wire. So this is as if you are using wire clause here, but because I am using group by, I cannot use wire. I have to use having the total salary less than the average capacity. What is the average capacity? Because here from this statement by itself, guys, will give you this value, which is a 21. This is average capacity. Let me just use round to round this average capacity, which it will round it to only 21 numbers. So this is average capacity. So what you are using here, as if you are saying, okay, I give me the course number, total capacity, sum of capacity from section, group by course number, where total capacity is less than 21. So here, had you known that this is less than 21, you would just do it like that, and then it will give you this. But since you don't know this is 21 and you have to select it from the table, that's why you are using a subquery here. So the whole statement will give you the same statement here, which is the total capacity is less than the average capacity. Yani 15 here is less than 21 and 15 here is less than 21. Okay, so this is another example for using. So 21 rounded is 21 is the average capacity, and 15 here is less than 21. So here you are actually displaying the course number and the total capacity such that the average capacity is greater than the total capacity. So to understand this query result, take the most inner query and think about its result. Take that output and use it as an input for the outer query. So the output of this outer query will then be used as an input for the most outer query as I mentioned. Okay, now look at the using in statements. If you look at this statement, it's actually using a subquery. You can see that there is a subquery, which is here. This I'm using the subquery here such that department is equal to 20. I'm using it to display department number, and then I'm using the department number that is displayed here. Whatever that department number, which is 20 in this case, will be used as an inner query for this outer query. So let me, before executing that, show you this one in just the table joins. In the video before this one, I have explained the table joins, and I said you can join the two tables using table alias, like select employee number, department number, employee name, and job. Let me just put the department number here first, before the first one here. Okay, so this is department number, employee number, e-name, job from me department d via e dot department number equal d dot department number, and department number is 20. So this one will give you these 5 records. Okay, those are the employees working in department number 20. I have to use 2 tables because these records are not from one table. These records from employee table, but this one it is from, actually, in case in fact these are from the same table. But for example, if you have to use name and location to add 2 more, it will display these 2 more guys. They are all working as researchers in the research department, and the location is in Dallas. Okay, now let me go back to my example here, which is let me add name and let me just keep it like that here, because here I'm using only one table, not 2 tables. I'm not involving the department table unless in this query, but this query here works the same way as the table joins. So if you use this one, also it will give you the same 5 records. The same 5 records. name is not mentioned here because I'm not using 2 tables. So here, if I have to use name and location, I have to include the department number department table as well. So let me just keep only those records from the employee table. So employee number, employee department number, employee name, job from employee via job via employee number, in select employee number. When you use employee number in, then in what? Select employee number from employee, such that the department in select department from department table via department number equal 20. So here, as if you are joining the 2 tables, department table and employee table, and you are actually using one more condition, which is the department number is 20. So sometimes you can use in operator to work as if you are joining the 2 tables, and instead of using the normal join condition between the 2 tables, using this table alias dot primary key equal table alias dot foreign key, and so forth. Not in displays those records that are not included in the previous query. So in this example here, this one will display the remaining records. This one is 5, I have 14, so this one should give me 9 records, which are the number of uh, records in the table minus 5, yani 14 minus 5, because here I use not in, yani those who are not working in department number 20, yani I need only those who are working in number 30 and 10, which are these guys. And this part is talking about the set operators, which is using union operator, using intersect operator, using minus operator, and so forth. So let me what we mean by union operator. The union operator combines data from the two select statements. Yani we have explained it in our theoretical part before the midterm exam, that the union you are having combining data from two sets. And if you have this data 10, 20, 30 and 40 in the department table, but you have only 10, 20 and 30 department numbers in the employee table, when you are using union between them, you are displaying values that are common between the two tables without duplications. Without duplication, yani if you execute this statement here, select department number from the employee table, union, select department number from the department table, you will get 4 records. But if you use union all will give you 18 records. Why? Because 4 here and 14 there. There are 4 records in this table called department, and there are 14 records in this employee. Union all will give you all values of this common data duplication. And you will see 18 records, the first 14 records from the employee table, and then these 4 records from the department table as have been included in that table. So intersect operator, however, generates the rows that are common between the tables. Yani these two tables, for example, employee table and department table, has 10, 20, 30, 40 for the department, and 10, 20, 30 for the employee. Which ones are common? 10, 20 and 30. So 40 is not common, and is included here but not included here. So if you use intersect operator, then you are using the common field, which are this time is going to give you 10, 20 and 30, which is the common values. However, the last one is minus. If you use minus in this case, this one will give you no data found. Why? Because you put employee first. One employee has only 10, 20, 30, and this one has 10, 20, 30, 40. Yani you are subtracting the smallest from the biggest, the biggest from the smallest, where you have to subtract the smallest from the biggest by doing department first and then employee second, and in this case it will give you only one record, which is 40. So 40 is the result of this one. Yani if you look at this table here, if you subtract this one from this one, so the result is what? Result is 40. So this is the minus operator as you have seen in this statement. So these are the set operations plus any statement plus not any statement, and also we talk about subqueries. This one will be an explanation of the subqueries, and before we do a solution for SQL exercise 2, which you will need to understand this before you solve that exercise. Thank you.